How do you think being a single dad has changed you?
It's changed me in terms of, I've realised that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to share your issues with other people. So I guess it's made me more open, to make me more vulnerable. It was a bad feeling. I went to some dark places. And I think this project is great because it's showing people, men like us, that there is help out there. You're not alone. You don't have to suffer alone or in silence. You don't have to constantly have this brave face on. And it's just an opportunity to share my experiences with others that might be going through the same situation.
Imagine being a single father, navigating life's challenges while nurturing the future. The Dad Project tells these stories of strength, sacrifice, and unbreakable bonds. In season 1, we dive into the voices of single fathers of colour, capturing their victories and their struggles. It's time to recognise their impact, break down the stigma, and celebrate the powerful truth of fatherhood. Join me, your host, Narup Juti, on this inspiring journey. Brenton, thanks so much for being involved. When I contacted you to be part of this, what was it about the project that made you say yes?
I think the most thing was your energy. Obviously, you're very passionate about it. You've gone through a lot. And I've gone through a lot as well, separating from my partner and having kids. And I wanted to share that experience with people. I'm generally a lively, bubbly person. And even though I was going through a hard time, I didn't really show that on the outside. So people might think, oh, Brenton's going through that, but he's okay. But really, I wasn't okay. So inside, I was in turmoil. And I just thought this is a great opportunity for me to share my feelings with other people that may go through similar things and think, I should be able to get through this. I should be able to show a brave face all the time. And I did. I showed a brave face a lot of the time, but like I said, inside, I was in turmoil a lot of the time. And it was a bad feeling. I went to some dark places. And I think this project is great because it's showing people, men like us, that there is help out there. You're not alone. You don't have to suffer alone or in silence. You don't have to constantly have this brave face on. And it's just an opportunity to share my experiences with others that might be going through the same situation.
So tell me a little bit about your journey. Tell me, how did you feel when you first became a single dad? What was that like?
It was tough. So at the time, my kids were 9 and 7, and I had an older one who was 14, but he's from a previous relationship. So one of the hardest decisions was actually leaving the family home and leaving the kids. Obviously, it was a home that the kids had been brought up in. They'd been born there. They'd spent all their life there. And me not being there, not seeing them every day, being part of their life every day was real tough. It was a real tough decision to make. But it had to be done. It had to be done for everyone's sake, because I wasn't happy, my partner wasn't happy, I didn't want it impacting the kids. So it was a tough decision, but I think it was the right decision to make. I moved into a flat 10 minutes walk away. So I tried to see the kids as much as possible, trying to keep their daily routine as much as possible, see them before school, take them to school if I could, pick them up after school, see them in the evenings, stuff like that. So it was tough, but it did work out. It wasn't a smooth road, but I'm glad I persevered because I have a great relationship with my kids now. And I have an okay relationship with my ex.
How did you get through those first few months? Because I think when you become a single dad and you realize that, okay, the routine is going to totally change now, there's so much, it's like your whole world's been flipped upside down, right? How did you, and what did you find comfort in to give you the strength to keep showing up? Because as men and as fathers, we feel like we have to be strong. We're like we're the foundation, we're the protectors, the providers. Yeah. That's something that's innate and built into us. So what gave you the strength to say, do you know what, for them, I'm going to keep the routine the same? What kind of things did you have to do to get you through that?
I think I can draw on my own experiences in childhood. So without going too much into it, my mum and dad were never together. I was brought up by my grandmother from the age of 6. My mum moved to America, my dad was in London, I was living in the UK with my grandmother. And my dad was in and out of my life. He would say he was going to come and see me, come and take me out. I'd be all excited waiting for him, and then he wouldn't show up. and I'll be in tears thinking, what have I done wrong? Why is he not here? And my grandma was always a comfort to me. She says, don't worry about him. He'll turn up soon, but I'm here for you, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. So I didn't want my kids to go through that experience. So no matter what turmoil I was in, no matter what I was doing, I would always be there when I said I was going to be there. Obviously, in the advent of the time, we have technology, so the kids had phones where I could always message them and keep in contact with them all the time, which wasn't around when we had a landline type thing. But now with technology, the communication was still really good with the kids. So I was able to maintain that communication with them when I didn't see them. And then when I did see them, no matter what I'd gone through, if I'd had a tough week at work or whatever, when I saw them, it was all about them. Now, I could be tired, I could be drained, but it was just like putting all my energy into them and just making sure that they were happy, and it was relatively normal for them, even though I wasn't living in the same home as them.
That's interesting. So what kind of things did you have to sacrifice? Because one of the things, speaking to the dads, is sacrifice is a kind of key word that's brought up a lot. On, I had to sacrifice this to do that. And it's not like they sacrificed it and resent the sacrifice. They did it because they knew they had to. It was like, there's no other choice. I've got to do this, and that's it. Tell me a bit about some of the ways your life had to change in order for you to still give your children what you felt they needed from you.
I guess it changed in terms of, obviously, my living arrangements changed. So I was gone from a family home to living in a small 2-bedroom flat. And mentally that was quite tough, because I'm thinking, I've worked hard to build this family home, and I'm the one that's moving out into a pokey little flat. But I guess it was a sacrifice, because I wanted the kids to maintain their normality, have their own rooms, have their own space, know where they're going every night, etc. So that was tough. But then on the flip side of it, the kids kept me going, because they were like, oh, Daddy, can we come and see you? Can we see, where's our room? Where are we going to sleep? So they basically had 2 homes. So when I saw their reaction to that made me feel a lot more relaxed and more comforted. Other things would be like finances. Obviously, it was tough on finances, paying for one house and supporting myself, plus bills, etc., etc. But again, it just comes back to the kids. What is best for the kids, and just seeing their reactions and them. Like, one of the things I didn't want was them to say, "Oh, we don't want to go to Dad's because it's a small place and we've got no space and we've got nowhere to put our clothes and we haven't got our own rooms and all that sort of stuff." But they never did that. So it's testament to them, and I guess to their mum as well, just keeping them grounded and. They were good kids. They handled it really, really well. One point where it did get a little bit tense was I had to move out of that apartment, and I had to move to the other side of London when I met my current partner. So we had a 2-bedroom flat there, and at the same time, my eldest son had finished university, so he came to live with us. So we had, on a weekend, we had 5 people plus a dog in a small 2-bedroom flat. So my eldest son had the other spare room, and then the kids were on the sofa bed in the lounge, and that broke my heart. And they were getting older, so they needed their own space, but I just didn't have the space for them. So that was tough, because I was thinking, I'm failing as a father here. I want them to come and see me, but when they do, they're sleeping on the sofa bed. Didn't have the space, so that was really, really tough. The reason why it took so long is because I was going through a divorce, and I couldn't buy anywhere until the divorce was finalised, and the divorce went on for a lot longer than it should have done, mainly through COVID and some other issues. So I had, I'd say, 4 years of that living situation, and it was tough.
You said something which I really resonated with, which was, I don't want to go to Daddy's house. And I think as a father, especially a father of a daughter, I always feel like I have to make sure she has just as good a time with me, right? Because you've got a daughter too, right? A daughter and 2 sons. So it's different with sons and with daughters, right? And of course, there are things that mothers can do with a daughter, which is different. And they should, I think each parent should have a different role. But you want to also make sure that they have just a good time with you and you can provide for them. And I was talking to somebody about this the other day, that this sense of duty and almost like I need to make sure her life is fun with me too. Because it would break my heart if she said to me, "Oh, Dad, I don't really want to come to your house today." Those words would kill me. Luckily, I haven't been in that position. But what have you had to do to make sure that, with your daughter specifically, that she can spend the time with you and enjoy it? And how have you had to adapt to what her needs may be differently than your son's?
Good question. So I would say it's a relatively easy one. So I don't like shopping. I never have done. My daughter loves shopping. So I guess a sacrifice I've made is going out shopping with her, carrying her bags, telling her we go to whatever shop you want. And I joke about it. It's a little bit of a sacrifice, but I love it because her face just lights up. I'm like, you can have whatever you want. And she goes, oh no, I don't want that. It's too expensive. I'm like, it's yours, baby. If you want it, get whatever you want. Things like that. And then there's things like, she loves making bracelets, so I'll sit with her and make little bracelets and necklaces and things like that. And like whenever she comes to see me, I'm always like, we can do whatever you want. As she's got older, whatever she wants is basically sitting on TikTok and stuff like that. So I'm trying to drag her out of the house. Come, let's go for a walk. Let's go to the park. Let's play on the swings or something like that. So yeah, I do make more of an effort to make sure that she's all right. And I'm not saying I have a favourite child, but she's very sensitive like I am. So she'll call me up or message me just like out of the blue. And initially I was thinking, oh, she wants something, she wants money. But then she'll just say, oh, I'm just checking in, Dad, just seeing how you're doing. And that makes me feel really emotional. And it shows that the effort I've made is, being reciprocated, that she understands that, I may be an absent parent, but I am still very much in her life.
Kind of the love that a child gives you can't be replaced anywhere. And I feel truly blessed, especially having a daughter that has changed me as a man. And I was talking to Amit about this earlier, that if I had a son, I probably would treat him differently than if I had a daughter. It's just the way it is. I know what a little boy would want. I was a little boy. I know what I wanted to do when I was young. I can still remember going to the park, just wanting to be silly, playing with, trucks, whatever it is. I know it sounds a bit generic, but I know what a son would need, but with a daughter, it's different. How do you think being a single dad has changed you? Like, in what ways? Because obviously you've had to go through a lot of tough times, but you've come out and you're sitting here and you're smiling. When you walked in, your energy was vibrant and you look like you're thriving. Yeah. How has it changed you?
I think it's made me a lot more positive. Like I said, I've been through, and many others have gone through some dark times. And when you're going through those dark times, I kind of kept it to myself because, again, I didn't want people to worry about me. I didn't want people to give me kind of unsolicited advice like, it's going to be okay. And I'm like, inside, I knew it was going to be okay at some point. But at that point in time, I just couldn't see light at the end of the tunnel. So I didn't want people, it felt like they were kind of, I don't know, the advice they were giving me just wasn't what I wanted to hear. So I would just keep things to myself and just smile and think, yeah, everything's okay. But it's changed me in terms of, I've realised that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to share your issues with other people. And I was, again, another thing I was thinking was like, if I want to talk to someone, I want to talk to someone that has gone through or is going through the same things as I am. A lot of my friends hadn't. They were relatively happy with their partners. They hadn't separated from the kids. Those that had separated from the kids, some didn't see their kids. They had no issue, no involvement with their kids. But I wanted to, if I was going to talk to someone, I wanted someone that was going through it, so I could share their experiences and I could say to you, how did you get through it? And I can share our experiences with them. So I guess it's made me more open, to make me more vulnerable. And that's not just in terms of the kids, but just life in general. If I'm going through work stresses or something like, I'm playing cricket at the moment. I've just come back to cricket, which I haven't played for years. And I had a tough first match on Saturday and I thought, why am I doing this at my age? Why am I coming out of retirement to play cricket? But I've shared my thoughts and my feelings with other people and I go, just take your time. Don't beat yourself up about it. Whereas years ago, I would have just kept that inside and it would just eat away inside of me and I probably wouldn't have succeeded. So I guess, it's made me more vulnerable and be open to being vulnerable, making me more open and basically sharing experiences. I think I know I'm old school, so the old British Telecom ad, it's good to talk. It really does ring true.
I totally can relate to that because I had 2 sessions of therapy after I separated from my partner, and the therapist wasn't telling me anything that I didn't know. But I spoke openly to everybody that I met, friends especially. I had like 4 good friends, 4 of my best friends who I would just literally pour my heart out to, Amit included. We'd be on the way to a shoot and I'd be telling him stuff and bless him, he would listen. And just sometimes all you need to do is listen and not even say anything back, but it's like, don't worry, man, you're going to be okay. So I've always said, similar to any men going through it, is be open. Don't be afraid to show your vulnerabilities because it's the only way you're going to heal. Because a lot of these emotions that we carry is like baggage. It's like dragging this weight with you. Yeah. And how are you going to move forward and fly and flourish if you're being weighed down by your past? And men find it very difficult to do that. But I think what you've gone through and realizing your vulnerability is actually your strength. As soon as people realize that, life changes.
Yeah.
I know what I say to men who are going through it when they say, Naroop, this has happened to me. You know, I know what advice I give them. What advice would you give to somebody who said, Brenton, man, I'm just, you know, separating from my partner. I love my kids. I want to be the best dad, but it's so fresh. How would you tell them to get through it? Or what advice could you give?
I guess go back to the communication point. Find someone that if they want to talk to me, open up to me, that's fine. Share their thoughts, share their feelings, share their fears. I would look to myself as not a role model, but someone that has gone from the bottom and got through it. And I would basically share my experiences with them. I'll say them that, you know, you'll always be the father of their kids, no matter what happens. Even if their mum remarries, finds another partner, you'll always be their dad. So just remember that. You just may not be living with them and seeing them every day, but just remember that they will always love you. You'll always be their father. And like for me, one of the things when I split up was that I'm not going to be there. She's going to find someone else. Someone's going to take my place. Someone's going to replace me as their father. They're going to look at that person and they're going to call that person dad and forget about me. I would reiterate that, again, as I keep saying, that you are their dad. Remember that. They love you, you love them, you can still have a good relationship with them even if you don't see them every day. And again, with the advent of technology, you've got phones, you can message, or like my daughter sends me pictures and messages all the time. And it makes me feel great when I get a message from her, especially when she's not asking for money. It's just like, hey dad, look at this picture, look what I did today. How are you doing? How was your day? That type of thing. It just makes me feel like all the pain that I went through has been worth it. So I just tell them to persevere.
Nice.
And I think one of the things you need to do, and something that I probably didn't do, was look after myself. You know, you're so busy thinking you want your kids to be great. As I said, I was in turmoil inside. No one else really knew about it, but I know sometimes I struggled to get out of bed in the day. I didn't want to see anyone, didn't want to do anything. Sport has always been my go-to since I was a kid. Whenever I was stressed, feeling, you know, whatever, I'd go out and do sport, whether it's playing football, playing cricket, going to the gym, going for a run. And I went for a period when I didn't do any of that. I just couldn't face the world, didn't want to do anything. So I think one of the pieces of advice would be that if there's something that you love doing, even if you have to force yourself to do it, I would force myself to get out of bed and go to the gym and go for a run, do that, and you feel so much better afterwards. And I was fortunate that my partner that I'm with now, she recognised, I didn't really open up to her, but she recognised things like, why isn't he playing football? Why isn't he going to the gym? He's always in the gym. So she'd force me to do it. She'd force me to go out. And initially I'd be like, oh, I don't want to do it. But then after the session, I'd be like, thank you. You know, that's done me the world of good. And I just feel better after doing exercise as it is anyway. So I just needed that push. So the advice I'd give is like, if you're not self-disciplined enough to force yourself to do it, find someone that will make you go out. Like with my friends, I will say to them, someone says, oh, I'm feeling crappy, I haven't been to the gym, and I'll phone them every day, I'll text them, have you been to the gym? Are you going to the gym? Just bug them until they go, and then they get back in the habit and they'll feel better about themselves. So I think you need someone to either, if you can't do it yourself, someone to push you, just check in on you.
What you said is amazing. And I say to a lot of men that I meet who are going through something else, put yourself first. That doesn't mean now that you're a single dad, go out and go Vegas and, you know, spend 10 grand on a table and party up. It's like, take care of yourself first. Because if you're a mess, then your child, you're going to be a mess for your child. So you have to get to a state where you can look yourself in the mirror and be proud of that man that you're looking back at. I think that's such a powerful yet underrated thing, that if you wake up in the morning and your reflection disappoints you, your rest of your day is going to be a disappointment. I thoroughly believe that. So taking care of themselves, I say, is like going to the gym, eating healthy, reading. I did this thing where I've got this gratitude jar, and anything that happens in the day, I make a little note, I'll pop it in the gratitude jar, and then the start of the new year, I'll read them all out and like, oh yeah, I remember in March something, I did that. And it could be something like, it could be the smallest thing, but it just makes you feel good. And those little things really compound. And I think when you start feeling good about yourself, then everything else around you just kind of falls into place. Because we radiate an energy, right? And kids are so intuitive. My daughter picks up my energy like this. So if I'm in a bad mood, she'll know it, and she'll be in a bad mood. So that whole interaction will just be rubbish. And the truth is, as a single dad, anytime we have with the kids is so valuable that we've got to be present and enjoy it and be grateful for it. So I think what you said is really important. What are your thoughts and opinions on the motivation behind this project, that single fathers of colour aren't given the respect I think that they deserve? Because I found when I became a single dad and I told people that, you know, I've separated and I'm now a single dad, that a lot of the time people thought that it was my fault, that, you know, I had done something wrong, or that as a single dad of colour, you may not be as present for the child as, say, the other parent may be. What are your thoughts on that? Because it's something that I want to break, the stigma that, you know, if you're a single dad of colour, you don't want to be the best dad for them. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with you. And like one of the reasons why it was so difficult for me to leave, because I didn't want that stigma. I didn't want people to think, another black guy's got a kid and he's going to have a kid somewhere else and another kid there and baby mothers all over the place and kids all over the place. I'm not that, and I didn't want to be that, and I still don't want to be that. But there is that stigma attached, and I think it might be a small percentage of guys that are like that, but all the single guys that whether black or white that I know, they're present for their kids. They want to be there for their kids. Like for me, it broke my heart when I didn't see my kids. So the fact that, you know, people can go months, weeks with having no contact with their kids, I can't fathom it. So I guess I made special effort to be present, but it wasn't like I wouldn't say I was making it was a sacrifice as way, but it wasn't like, you know, I could be playing football or I could see my kids. My kids are my priority, regardless. I was fortunate that I was able to do stuff like have a social life, you know, go to the gym and see my kids without the detriment of either of them. It was hard work. Like, you know, I mean, I'd get up at 5 o'clock and go to the gym before work, or if it's a weekend, before I saw the kids. It's just about making sacrifices. I am as present. You know what? I think I might have, especially in early days, I may have more quality time with the kids when I'm not with, as in separated, than when I was working, because I was working ridiculous hours. You know, I'd go to work before they woke up. Sometimes I'd get home just as they were going to bed. So I'd have, you know, half an hour or an hour during the week with them. Whereas now, you know, I'll take a day off and I'll see them. Weekends are all about them. So I do get quality time with them, and I think it's really, really important that we do that, and you maintain, like, the thing for me was the consistency, maintaining that consistent relationship, communication with the kids.
That's really interesting, because I did a talk the other day, and I was talking about time with your child and being a single dad, and how you actually probably spend more time with your kids being a single dad than you would if you were in the actual relationship, because a lot of the times we can pass responsibility off to the other partner. And I would do the same. I'd go on a shoot, I'd come back. I'd always make sure I'd come back before my daughter went to sleep, but it would usually be just before she's about to go to bed. And then I'd catch her and say goodnight and she'd go to bed. Or I'd go to the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning and I'd get back just in time for her to leave for school. But now I get her ready for school for 3 to 4 mornings of the week. I won't work on certain days, won't do shoots on certain days, because I've got my daughter. I know she's finishing school at 3:30, so I've got to be home. If I have to take a shoot, I will, but it has to be a last resort. So we actually end up spending more time, which in itself is a beautiful thing. And so I also say to dads, look, yeah, it's going to be difficult, but think about all the ways that it's going to be better for you as well. And in some ways it is better. You're thriving now in your life. I'd love to hear about your life now, what you do for work, how your life is now, how your relationship with your kids is now, and how, having gone through all those challenges, you've come out to be the man that you are sitting in front of me.
Okay, so it's been a long road. I am thriving at the moment, so I have, I guess, 2 jobs. So my main job is working in an investment bank. And then my other job, which is my real passion, is an outdoor laser tag business. So it's like paintball, but without the bruises and the pain and the mess. Which I set up about 15 years ago as a sideline, but it is thriving. It's going really, really well. So basically I am working all the hours that I'm awake, but it is worth it because I get to provide for my family. I get to have a nice life. I still have a good relationship with my kids, so much so that my middle son, my 16-year-old son, actually works for me at the laser tag site on weekends. He's doing his A-levels, but weekends he's off school, so he works for me and he loves that. It's like giving him responsibility. He's probably just doing it for the money, but I think it's building his confidence and give his people skills and communication skills. So it's kind of a win-win situation, and I get to work with him as well. In terms of my daughter, she's 14, so she's grown out of the playing with dolls phase, but she's into TikTok. So I try to keep bugging her to let us do a TikTok video together. She goes, no, we've done a few, and then she's like, no, Dad, you're going to embarrass me. I was like, oh, come on, let's do it. So I'm going to keep bugging her with that. And then my oldest son, he lives with us. He works in finance as well. Yeah, we have a great relationship. I have a good relationship with all three of them. And I like to think it has always been good. As I said, no matter what I was going through, I tried to shield them from that. But I think the point that you picked up on, my daughter would pick up on things like that. She was a lot more sensitive than the boys. They'd be like, oh, Dad's all right. But she'd be like, Dad, are you okay? And she'll check in on me. So she's my princess. So it's nice that she had my back, basically.
Amazing, man. Well, dude, thank you so much, man, for coming down today. I'm super passionate about this, as is Amit. I think this project is going to help inspire a lot of men who are going through a challenging time, comfort them, to know that it will be okay, and hopefully give them some advice that they can use in action, no matter what stage they are. Because one thing I've realized about being a single dad is time isn't always a healer. You know, it's not time, it's a shift of mindset.
Yeah.
It's a shift of the way of thinking that really heals you. I've known people who've been separated and been single dads for 10 years and still it feels as raw as the day it happened because they haven't been able to take the steps to heal and recover.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping through these interviews and through this project as a whole, men will watch it, take inspiration and live thriving lives as a single dad. So thank you so much, man.
No, thank you for your time.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you, man.
Pleasure.
Cheers.
Thank you.